So when you say, just for my own clarity, when you say that when you agreed, and everyone sort of cheered, which is sort of fun, that you wanted to rid the world of religion, I wouldn't have thought that this would then be your reaction to my description.
Well, I suppose by religion I meant the scientific falsehood of religion. I did not mean tradition because there are the Jewish tradition and all sorts of other traditions, and tradition in literature, tradition in art.
Right.
I don't want to get rid of that.
So then I wonder about the following. So religion as a word, a few 500 years old or so. It's not one that really goes back to archaic times. So and there are some who have thought through the history of religious development and have indicated that the use of religion in the ways that you find utterly unacceptable is a relatively recent development. So if you take this structure that, go back a handful of thousand years, wherever you sort of want to, view its origins, 1500, 2000 BC, something of that sort, let's just say, does it not feel that you're focusing so intently on the last part of the development of that structure in a way that, at least as I've heard it, and it's different from hearing it tonight, which is very interesting for me, wipes it all out by virtue of what's happening now?
I'm skeptical of the suggestion that the scientific falsehood part of religion is recent.
I'm sorry, what?
That the scientific falsehood part of religion is recent. I'm aware that there are people who say that.
Yeah.
And I think they're wrong. I mean, I just think if you go back to the Old Testament, it would just be nonsense to say that the characters in Abraham and David and Moses and people were not interested in the quasi-scientific aspects of it. Of course they were. I mean, they were obsessed with it. They believed that there was a person called Yahweh who made the world and who actually intervened the whole time, who wrought miracles and things like that. I think it's Karen Armstrong who's made the case that the scientific part is recent. I just think that's not historically accurate.
So, but if one takes this metaphorical approach, as I was sort of describing it in that particular case, well, let me actually frame it somewhat differently. So, to what extent are you okay with, I don't know how else to say it, but irrational ideas? Can I just give you an example again? I don't know, about 3 weeks ago, I live uptown, and my mother lives over here, 81st Street. She's in her 90s, and I called. She's always home. She doesn't really go out without me. I called, the answering machine picked up. She didn't answer. I called again. She didn't answer. I'm starting to really freak out. So I get in the taxi cab, and I'm racing down to 81st Street, and I'm telling you, in that taxi cab, I was praying to God that she would be okay. And I'm praying to God, and I know that I do not think there is a God, okay? This is a totally irrational thing that I'm doing. Let me just quickly say, if you're there, I'm sorry, all right? If you're, I just got to hedge my bets, it's a conversation here. I'm just sort of saying how I feel. But I'm really praying, and when I got there and everything ultimately was fine, it felt like, a small miracle to me. Now, I don't believe in miracles. I believe that we're all bags of particles governed by the laws of physics, and there's nothing else besides that. But at the same time, I find it useful to hold these irrational ideas in mind at certain moments, and I don't give a shit that I do.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, I think I'll make a similar confession. I would hesitate to spend the night in a notoriously haunted house. The faintest.
Oh, this is a good night, man. That is so.
But I mean, we're both being irrational, and
Yeah.
and that is a sin.
I agree.